Ask FP is back up in the building, y'all. It's time for some more questions. This has been a big week, or a big past week, with the Ultimate Legends roster, and I think y'all didn't ask me as many questions, but it's all good. But I still got some, because Ramon Lopez wants to know, this is about the Ultimate Legends. How about European FIBA legends like Delabasic, Galis, and Oscar Schmidt? You know, I think it's a pretty cool idea. I don't know that I'm the guy to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I would think someone who is more, you know, outside of the United States, who's a FIBA basketball fan primarily, would probably be the YouTuber to do that more so than me, just to be totally honest with you. Dallas Wagonect, I believe that's right. Tell me if it's wrong. Says, what team do you think that JaVale McGee will go to? I don't know. I don't know, man. JaVale McGee is a really good raw talent, but it's just the thing. He's real raw, and it's a little bit late in his career for him to still be raw as he is. So I think he needs somebody to play him, give him a confidence. He would be great with the Clippers. Like, if the Clippers were to lose DeAndre Jordan, I mean, I would think that that's who they would want to replace him with. That kid from Philly says, is Terrell Owens a Hall of Famer? You bet. Absolutely, he's a Hall of Famer. I don't even, to me, it's not a question. You ask, this is what you say. Was this guy one of the best wide receivers in the NFL for, what, 8 to 10 years? At least? Yes, he was. One of the best wide receivers in the NFL for 8 to 10 years time frame, and I think he's absolutely a Hall of Fame. Jovan Radovanovic, my main man, says, which NBA team would have the most use of bringing Cesca's and Serbia's Milos Teodosic? Milos Teodosic, obviously a team that needs a little bit, you know, somebody that can create a matchup issue, maybe at the 4-3. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, probably, you know, I could see him actually doing pretty well as a backup for Kevin Love. You know, maybe, you know. Sports Talk says, with all this talk about what if Ronda Rousey fought a guy, do you think she could win? I think all of that talk is really stupid and ridiculous. It gets on my nerves, really it does. Let's just paint a picture real quick, right? And I'm gonna take a little bit more time with this question because it irks me, right? Not you asking me the question, just this concept irks me. Say for instance, she's gonna fight a guy, right? First of all, why would a guy even do that? It's a no-win situation. None. You beat her up, and nobody's gonna go, oh man, you were so tough. You beat up a 135-pound female, dog. Nobody's gonna say, go, yeah, you're the baddest guy. This whole conversation, she's the only one who can win in this conversation. She's the only one who can benefit from from any of the talk. That's why any guy whose name is thrown into it, including Floyd Mayweather, is better just to act to ignore it, because it's a no-win situation. So if a guy, so you come up to Floyd Mayweather and you say, Floyd, can you beat Ronda Rousey? And he said, man, I'll smash her, I'll punch her on her eye, elbow, I will break her back. So if he says that, right, everybody's gonna look at him like, oh man. And Floyd, you know, has some situations that came up in the past, you know, about domestic violence. If he says something like that, you can just wait and hear people going, oh yeah, we know you like dead women anyway, right, Floyd? Whatever, man. Get that out of here. Just to answer your question, if she fights another guy within her weight range who is trained, not even as trained as her, but who is trained in grappling, let alone stand-up, because her stand-up is, I mean, she has good stand-up for a female 135-pound woman, but she's fighting a 135-pound man in stand-up, she's gonna get knocked out quick and nasty like. Okay, now if we're talking about grappling, if she's grappling with a person that's around her size that's not trained, yeah, she'll beat him, because she's a beast in terms of her training. But if she's grappling with a man, a grown man who has had grappling training, we will not see an arm bar. I promise you. We're gonna see her get thrown around the cage, because this guy's gonna know how to defend the grappling techniques, and he's going to have the physical strength to overpower her in certain situations. I just tell you like this, and I'm spending a lot more time on this question than normal. I just tell you like this. Liz Carmouche took Ronda Rousey's back and linked in a rear naked choke. Had she been better at what she was doing, she might have submitted Ronda. This is Liz Carmouche, is not even one of the best fighters in the UFC, in the female and the women's division. So if that's Uriah Faber on her back, I mean, if not even Uriah Faber, if that's Ivan Minjavar on her back, come on, let's think sensibly before we get too caught up in the hype. Prisoners of the moment is what that's about. But I gotta move on. You know, I gotta add something else too. If he loses, if this guy was to lose, whoever this guy would be, then everybody says, regardless if it's Ronda Rousey or not, people say you lost to a girl. So it's a no-win situation for the guy. I just don't see why anybody would even want to do it. And it's just so backwards to me. I mean, we got all this stuff going around about, you know, and obviously this is not a domestic situation. It's not, obviously, so it's very different than that. But aren't we trying to teach, you know, our people, our young guys and young men and stuff, not to be hitting on women and stuff like that? So obviously this is an athletic situation and that sort of thing, but it does. And okay, now we got Tom Erickson. He says, your roster is amazing, dude. What's the best way to remove duplicates from my GM mode? Some people like the multiple Barclays and stuff like that. Some people don't. If you don't like it, you can pick the one you want and then like trade the other guy to the other versions to one of the like the Legends or Classic teams, or trade it to one of the international teams. That way you get it out of the main 30 squads and they won't be in your My GM mode. So that's the best way to get them out, and they won't be free agents either. So that's that. But you still might end up with somebody that's, you know what I'm saying, that's not really in the league or whatever. So, Sports Talk says, is Chip Kelly a genius or insane? Well, we'll find out shortly. I think he's got about another year or two before the Eagles pull the plug on his whole, you know, such situation. But it's kind of hard to judge him until he gets the quarterback that he needs to run his system. Torvey Sunland says, could Russell Westbrook get MVP honors this season? I think he could. I kind of thought they might need to rise up to about the 5th or 6th spot for him to get it. West is tough though, so I don't know. But he definitely is. I mean, man, he's on a ridiculous run, triple doubles and near triple doubles. You gotta consider him in there for sure, and he's carrying it without Durant there. So that kid from Philly says the best free agent pickups this year. I'm assuming you're talking about NFL. I mean, you gotta look at Ndamukong Suh going to the Miami Dolphins is one of the first ones that jump out like wang bang. That's a pretty big deal. I actually really like CJ Spiller to the Saints, and I know they got about 47 running backs, but I think Spiller is better if you can use him as you know, the same way that the Saints used to use like Reggie Bush and Darren Sproles. So I think he could really be a weapon there. Devin Martinez says, do you think it was a smart move for the Vikings to release Greg Jennings and trade for Mike Wallace? I do. I think it was a good move because the Vikings need speed in the wide receiver. And Greg Jennings at this point, after injuries and a little bit of age, doesn't have that burst. Mike Wallace still take the top off of defense. And you know, you're trying to develop Cordero Patterson, but I think they still need another possession guy. But I think that was a pretty good thing to do. Sixbird says, who do you think has the best outfield in baseball, San Diego or Pittsburgh? I would say Pittsburgh for right now. I mean, Starling Marte and McCutchen, those are my guys. Those guys are like that. I mean, they're definitely like the most exciting right now, and I like them better. The injury concerns in San Diego with Matt Kemp, yeah, nah. I'll take Pittsburgh. Let's see, Austin says, what is your opinion on the Tim Donaghy incident a couple years back? For anybody who doesn't know what that is, that's the NBA ref who got caught for being involved with maybe shaving points or just a gambling scandal I hate that kind of stuff, man, because as a person who loves sports, you hate for anybody to mess with the integrity of it, because it just kind of messes with everything you watch, and you start to question everything you're looking at, and you can't really enjoy it when you get into all of that. It damages the whole fabric of it, so I hate that kind of stuff. HDG Ball Out says, if you had to pick a starting lineup with only bench players, who would you pick? He said he had half, I think that's what he's saying. And he's going to throw some up here on this next tweet, but a couple of the guys that at least one of the guys he puts up is actually not a bench player. We'll take a look at that in 1 second. He has DJ Augustine, he's on the bench. Evan Fournier is on the bench, but Mike Dunleavy Jr. is not a bench player. He starts for the Bulls. Big Baby Davis and Spencer Hawes. Spencer Hawes is really a bench player, but he was starting when Blake was hurt. My starting five would be Isaiah Thomas at point guard, Jamal Crawford, Josh Smith, Taj Gibson, and Maurice Spates. All of those guys are primarily bench guys, and I think you got a pretty good team with that right there. Pretty good team. You might not have a lot. You don't have a point guard who can create, but, you know. HDG Ball Out says, what are your thoughts on Jusuf Nurkic? He basically came out of nowhere. I don't think he came out of nowhere. I mean, he was a lottery pick. The Bulls actually drafted him, traded him and the rights to Gary Harris to the Nuggets for the rights to pick Doug McDermott. And Nurkic was a pretty big international prospect over the last 2 years, so I don't really think he came out of nowhere. But I think he's a really good, solid, huge body, young center who is not a poor athlete either, which is a good thing. So I like his game. I do. I think he has a nice future. HDG Ballout also says Nick Vucevic is a flat-out beast, yet no all-star. What do you think he needs to improve on? A little bit of defense. A little bit of defense is his biggest thing. He's not a good defender yet, but he definitely can score. I think the thing about the all-star team for him is just that, you know, running into some competition there in the East, Joakim Noah and that sort of thing. You know, it's a decent amount of young centers in the East. So that kid from Philly says the most underrated and most overrated cornerback in the NFL. I think one of the most overrated cornerbacks in the NFL right now is Darrelle Revis. I don't think Darrelle Revis is still on that same level of what he once was. I don't think he's quite that guy anymore. I think the knee injuries, stuff like that, I think it's taken a step away, and that's difficult for a cornerback to shake off. The most underrated, it's kind of hard. I don't know. I can't really answer that question, to be honest. Everson Carter says, do you think the Diva division will get Royal Rumbles, Money in the Bank, or Elimination Chamber like the men? I think that would be awesome if they did. I think, you know, that type of thing might be exactly what they needed to inject some life into it, but nah, I don't think, to be honest, I don't think that's going to happen, at least not anytime soon. William Eno says, are you going to add D'Angelo Russell to your draft class? He's supposed to be a top 3 pick. Absolutely. There's no way in the world. I mean, y'all got to remember, too, those draft class videos that I've been putting out. I did those, like, literally months ago, and I just held them back until I finished the Ultimate Legends roster. So I got to go back. Like, so the next one that you see is actually going to be a new one. So I'm going to go back in on that one and kind of rate some of the people that I already made and maybe touch up a couple faces. And so we're going to kind of like refresh it, you know, first. J-Dog says, do you think that Goran and Zoran Dragic can be future NBA All-Stars? Well, I mean, you really think about it, Goran, like Zoran, I don't know about Zoran Dragic. I mean, you never know, because Goran didn't get an opportunity to play at first early on. So he didn't get he wasn't getting a chance. So nobody probably thought that he was an all-star caliber player, themselves. But then he started getting an opportunity to play and got better, and that's it. But I mean, Goran Dragic hasn't made an NBA All-Star team yet, but he was All NBA third team last year. So that's one thing to remember. Brandon Knowles says, would it make sense for Bray Wyatt to win at WrestleMania 31? I don't think it makes sense for him not to win, to be honest. I mean, why would you let Taker win at this point? I mean, to me, at this point, Taker's just there to put guys over in big spots. So I don't see why Bray Wyatt doesn't win. Brandon Knowles says, did you expect Rafael dos Anjos to dominate Pettis for all 5 rounds? No, I did not. I thought Pettis was going to win. I picked Pettis to win, wrote it up, put it in my preview and everything on BR. But no, I mean, dos Anjos really surprised me. The thing that surprised me most was his stamina. He kept up that torrid pace for all 25 minutes of that fight. It was really amazing. Brandon Noah also says, what new modes do you think will be in WWE 2K16, and will you be getting EA Sports Rory McIlroy PGA Tour? Yeah, I'm gonna get the new golf game and also the new modes in WWE 2K16. I think it's gonna be kind of expanding on some stuff. I don't think they're gonna bring anything totally new. I think you're gonna see an expansion on like my career. To include some of the newer stuff. Just they're gonna take some steps, just like NBA did when they first introduced my career. Matt Price says, do you think Pete Rose's lifetime ban will be lifted? I don't know if it will, but it should be. I mean, we got to get to a point where the man, he didn't kill nobody. Okay, he didn't kill nobody. He didn't push nobody off no buildings or nothing. Gotta forgive folk. You know what I'm saying? Let it be done. And I just really don't like baseball's whole thing, where if you got to have perfect attendance and behavior to get into the Hall of Fame. Man, this is about the game, Nobody can take anything away from this guy. 4,142 hits, I believe it is. 4,141 hits, whatever it is. You can't take that away. Matt Price says, what was your favorite year of WWE in terms of roster? I don't know if I can pinpoint it to a year, but I can definitely say a time period during the Attitude Era. And I'm not in love with the Attitude Era like a lot of people, but you can't deny some of the talent they had at that time when, some of the best guys, Edge, Christian, Bret Hart, Stone Cold, The Rock, Jericho, all those guys on the same roster, The Big Show, all on the roster, Undertaker, all on the roster at the same time. It's pretty awesome. Corey Reeves, Triple H, my bad. Shawn Michaels, forgot that too. Corey Reeves says, can the Dolphins become contenders in the coming years? Absolutely they can. I like Ryan Tannehill as a young quarterback. The defense is looking nasty. I definitely think they can be contenders. Matt Price says, what changes do you want to see in NBA 2K16? I want to see more options on creative player, like things like being able to use a headband and goggles for guys, and being able to design tattoos. I want to be able to create teams. I want a larger Jordan Rex Center kind of experience with organized leagues and that whole thing. I want to see that for sure. I want some variation in my career. I love the storylines, but I want something deeper too, in addition to, not instead of. Mr. Root says, what's your take on the 2K offseason glitch where most real free agent players disappear and are replaced by undrafted fictional rookie bums? Well, I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but I haven't seen that yet. So hopefully I don't see it. But I haven't seen it. So hopefully one of these recent patches maybe addressed it, but I haven't had that happen, so I can't really say. But if that's the case, yeah, that's kind of bad. You don't like that, right? So that's it for this episode of Ask FP. I appreciate y'all watching. God bless you. Peace.